Hello there, and welcome to my first Doctor Who DVD tribute in beautiful standard definition. That's 480p. I decided that due to download time, it was just easier if I did these videos this way. Anyhow, today we're celebrating the birthday of Mr. Patrick Troughton, and he is an extremely important historical figure in Doctor Who, because when the first Doctor was played by William Hartnell, they decided that instead of continuing a new actor playing the same role, they would have a little gizmo worked into Doctor Who where the character could essentially regenerate, as they call it now, near death. At the time, I believe they called it renewal, but they actually morphed William Hartnell into Patrick Troughton at the end of the 10th Planet serial. And Patrick Troughton played the Doctor from 1966 to 1969, and he died in 1987. Unfortunately, in the late 70s, when the BBC junked a lot of its old Doctor Who episodes, the Patrick Troughton era was hit particularly hard. About 80% of his time on Doctor Who is currently erased from history. So there's not a lot of his episodes available. And I've seen them on Netflix, actually, rented them on DVD, but I actually only own very few of them. But that's what we're going to be talking about very shortly. So again, this month we're doing a little time traveling, this time back in time, to February, which was last month. There's Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, a Cyberman, a Yeti. That episode, unfortunately, isn't available. I wish it was. And I believe that is the Dalek Supreme. There were only 2 Dalek stories during Troughton's era, but they were both very strong and unfortunately both among the missing episodes of the Pat Troughton era itself. I think there are actually about 10 or 11 Patrick Troughton era DVDs that were made available, but a couple of them, such as The Invasion, 2 parts of which had to be animated because they're still missing, actually, is among some of the out-of-print titles. Now, on DVD, as of now, I do not yet have the iconic Patrick Troughton era story, The Tomb of the Cybermen, which I want to highly recommend. It's one of the best of Patrick Troughton, and features Deborah Waiting as Victoria. I think it's actually her second story in the role, and a wonderful scene where he actually explains to her, in one of the classic lines of Doctor Who, just what it means being a time traveler and the level of responsibility and protection that you have. But I digress. The Cybermen are also included in this story called The Moon Base, which is from 1967. And this also features the Cybermen and Victoria. The trouble with this is that, again, 2 episodes of this story had to be animated. It's a 4-part from March 1967. He still had Ben Jackson and Polly Wright as his companions at this point. The next story is yet another incomplete story, The Ice Warriors. I believe this is again from 1967, later in 67. The Ice Warriors recently made an appearance in an 11th Doctor story called Cold War. It had been a very long time. They were also in the 2 3rd Doctor Peladon stories, but this is their first appearance. And again, 2 of these stories in the 6-parter had to be animated. I haven't seen either this or The Moon Base yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. This is actually one of my favorite Patrick Troughton stories, and it's called The Mine Robber. It's one of the best realized in terms of special effects for its day, and also includes a very surreal plot line. His companion, Zoe, is a little bit irritating in this because her insatiable curiosity continually gets the best of her, but this is a fantastic story with some interesting comedic elements as well, including the Doctor's lack of recognition of his own companion Jamie when he's forced to actually physically put his face back together and does it wrong. Fraser Hines was actually out sick for a time during this, so they had to have another actor play Jamie, and that's how they worked it into the plot. It's a really inventive story, including an inventive unicorn, which actually looks pretty convincing, despite the fact they had to put white makeup all over the horse. It's a very convincing black and white story. Good example of what you can do with limited effects on a 60s BBC TV show, and it includes a character called the Master, not related to the Doctor's Professor Moriarty that we know very well from later. And then the Crotons. I have a feeling this was set up to create a new type of adversary for the Doctor that was robotic, that wasn't the Daleks. I think they were trying to update the show. It's a good story. Actually, this is not the best DVD print there is. I think it's kind of from a VHS update. It's a little scratchy, but it's a pretty good story. Not one of Troughton's absolute greatest, but these are all really good stories. One of my favorites, though, is his last, The War Games, which I didn't pick up on DVD, and I believe is out of print now. Hopefully it'll be out on a special edition soon. So, all of you out there, I hope you're enjoying yourselves and enjoying your Doctor Who. Thank you.